guys. It's the LAN Party Podcast, and yes, I'm back, and I haven't died this time.
We didn't record last week, so.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
At all? Oh. Well, today is March the 29th, Tuesday, of course, as always. We're a little bit late, as always.
Events transpired. I was playing
Ships were captured.
the handy-dandy game of 2 weeks ago, Naval Action, and was trying to catch myself a resume that took an hour and 15 minutes. I'm not exaggerating either. One of the reasons, I don't know why Tyler didn't come in yesterday, but last week, that was fine though, because the DLC for Fallout 4 came out, so I played the shit out of that.
Again.
I forgot. You should have made something up. You should have been like, I was in the hospital
I was playing Fallout.
having a quadruple bypass heart surgery. I just managed to recover in a week because I'm a god.
I actually had a child is what happened. I gave birth.
Oh, man. I can't.
I was on maternal leave.
You don't get paternity leave.
I guess technically it would be paternal leave.
There we go. So yeah, the new Fallout 4 DLC is freaking awesome. I would not get it if you want story, because the quest line is super short, like
a little under 2 hours.
Little under 2 hours. Depending on how good you are in combat, there are a couple places where they literally throw like tanks at you.
That last mission though. Ouch.
Yeah. I had to repair my suit of power armor, and I have like 2,000 points of health on my power armor.
Too many.
So, definitely super pleased with it though. As far as content-wise goes, I didn't expect this to be a very story-driven DLC, so I wasn't at all disappointed in the content.
I didn't even know. I was actually surprised when I heard it had a story.
Yeah, I was just super pumped to be able to build robots.
Just so you guys know, if you hear anything weird, I'm playing with my mic stand.
So the first robot I made, and I already think that like if Al Chestbreach, when he's played this, I haven't watched any of his stuff, but I know he's played it. I hope to God he made a Captain Ball Arms, because you totally can now, and you can give Ball Arms a voice.
He probably will.
So, but the first one I made was a Protectron, just because it was what I had parts for. I had parts for everything, and I put 2 laser Gatlings on him, 2 of the unstable laser Gatlings, which I learned later that wasn't the best idea because they break frequently. The second one I made was a RoboBrain SentryBot hybrid. So it's got the bottom half of a SentryBot, top half of a RoboBrain, and like it's armed to the teeth.
You know what I don't understand is why would you make anything without an Assaultron head with a laser?
Yeah, and then I thought, how can I step up the game? So I tweaked my RoboBrain SentryBot hybrid. He now has like the RoboBrain bottom half with like the bulldozer plow in the front and pouches for junk all around. It's a SentryBot top frame with a laser Gatling and a minigun, and since it's a SentryBot, it has the good laser Gatling, not the unstable one. And his face is an Assaultron laser face. So he quite literally has 3 deadly weapons.
My brother made a terrifying robot, and he named it the Kilotron 5000. It's got a shish kebab hand, a laser sniper rifle, because he said the laser Gatling was way too inaccurate.
Oh, I imagine it is. I have no doubt.
But he also has shoulder launchers.
Yep, the shoulder. Actually, I equipped mine with shoulder launchers.
Yeah, he has a cluster bomb launcher and a MIRV. And he also has the Assaultron head. So the Kilotron 5000 is scary.
Do you have to worry about, though, like, them damaging you in combat with those?
He's got the perk where his followers don't damage him.
So, yeah.
So, no, he doesn't, but I would if I built it.
Because, like, I know that's a thing, and I wanted to make sure that, like, I didn't equip him with something that would kill me.
Yeah, make your robot more of a liability.
Like, it was, yeah, a liability. But, like, I am super pleased with what came with the DLC. It's definitely very expansive in terms of content. I have noticed a couple crashes as of late, but I think that might be partially because I'm launching Steam Big Picture so that I can play it on my TV. But the robot crafting is super cool. Like, the ability to literally take any part of any robot you can imagine in that game and put it together with any other part of any other robot you can imagine is just awesome. Like, I can make a Protectron with a Mr. Handy bottom half so he floats.
Yep.
Like, it's funny. And some of the NPCs and AI actually got new voice things. Like Codsworth, for instance, like, you know, not all robots are self-thinking or whatnot. Like, they added some dialogue for some of the NPCs and stuff in the game so that they react accordingly, which is awesome. And I didn't pay a cent for the DLC. Although it was kind of confusing because the season pass counts as DLC in Steam. So you have to, like, when the DLC's released, I had an update to download. I don't know if there was an update with the DLC or whatnot, and then I have to go to my DLC list, and it'll show that Automatron was already downloaded, but it wasn't. So I have to uncheck it, then check it again, and it'll start downloading.
That's weird.
It's kind of silly. I'm trying to look up a bit of news.
I made a straight up pack, Mr. Handy. That's all it is. It's a pack mule. It can carry 250 pounds of equipment. I mean, I guess it would be better if I made up a straight up Protectron.
No.
Or Sentry
Or a
Bot.
Sentry Bot, yeah,
A
because
Sentry
they've got
Bot.
like those. They can be surrounded in cargo bags.
You carry so much.
Titanfall 2 development team about 30% larger than the first game.
Hopefully that means it won't die off after a couple months after launch. Because that game was actually really fun. Really well made.
Fallout 4 survival mode lands on PC today in beta alongside new patch.
Yep.
That was 5 hours ago. We've touched on the survival mode on a podcast. It was the first time you missed, I talked about it with Nate.
Yeah, it's gonna be. You gotta worry about food and water and sleep and stuff.
And being sick. And
ammo weighs something probably. So
yeah.
you can't walk around with those 5,050 caliber rounds. Do you have over 5,050 caliber rounds?
No, I think I've got like 2,600 like fusion cells or something though.
50 caliber rounds are super common for some reason.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know how many I have because I don't use my 50 caliber very often. But when I do,
check. It's because you can find 50 calibers in almost everything.
Yeah.
I've resorted to selling it when I need extra caps because I don't need that much. And I can't sell it all in one place because no vendor has over 5,000 caps.
Exactly. Quick saving and almost all autosaves are disabled. You will need to instead find a bed and sleep for at least an hour to save the game. So we've touched on this
Why
before,
does
but
it
this
save
is
for
crazy.
at least an hour? Because there's not a way you can sleep for 20 minutes. If you're going to sleep, you sleep for an hour or more. You can't sleep for less than an hour.
I guess maybe they're just trying to. They could have said an hour or more.
Your character is the worst power napper ever. I'm just gonna sleep here and I'll sleep. Take a nap for about 20 minutes. Wakes up an hour later. Fuck! And did it again.
Fast traveling is disabled, which sucks. Like, I get what they're doing, and it's cool. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's awesome. But as I've stated before to people who said that this was a really cool feature, my base of operations is Red Rocket Truck Stop, the gas station. However, all of my shops that are generating caps are in Castle. On literally the other side of the map.
You're gonna need to centralize.
Yeah.
Make
So-
it Starlight Drive. That's a good one.
Yeah, but I mean, I use a lot of places on the map. Like, I go a lot of places, like in downtown Boston and upper places in the north, but like Castle's my most flourishing settlement, and it generates a lot of caps, but it would literally take me like an hour to get from Red Rocket to Castle. And it might take me longer if I did that in Power Armor, which I probably would, just because DC is, or not DC, oh my god. Boston is not a friendly place at all.
Boston.
You deal more damage, but you take more damage. Players can also further increase the damage with the new Adrenaline perk. Every 5 kills increases your Adrenaline rank. Increases your Adrenaline rank, adding 5% each time for up to 50% damage at the max rank of 10.
Sweet.
Combat is now more strategic, as you will have to make use of block/parry to stay alive. So that's definitely kind of game changing, since I'd never really used the block in the game, period.
The what?
Yeah, you can block in Fallout.
Oh yeah, the block and okay, that's what you mean. I was thinking, in my mind I had like a square in my head, like a cube.
What block are you
I don't-
talking
I was
about?
like- There's an item that's a block that just says block. What do you use that for?
Threats outside of those added by a recon scope will not display on your compass. Additionally, the distance in which areas of interest will show up has been significantly shortened, so you won't know you're near any place of interest until you're like there.
Yeah, until you can see it in the distance, and even then, maybe not.
Yeah. You will need to take care of yourself, staying hydrated, fed, and rested. Don't eat, drink, or sleep for a while, and your health will deteriorate. And I wonder if eating radiated food is gonna
Be a problem.
like increase some sort of sickness chance or make you sick.
Well, maybe that'll give me some inspiration to eat some of the 8 or 10 Deathclaw steaks I have.
Yeah, and you got people like Nate who are like, no, I don't, I'll just eat the Salisbury steaks and stuff. It's only like 2 rads. I'm like, well,
It adds up.
it
It's only
adds
20
up.
health too. It's not that much.
But I mean, yeah, whenever I cook food like nothing else, because it's a really good way to level up too.
Yeah.
Like, if you just stockpile, like every time I kill a mole rat in this game, I've started like looting mole rat meat and crap. Like, I would never loot radroach meat and dog meat and all that stuff because it was radiated. There was no sense in using it in Fallout 3. In New Vegas, I sort of did, but not really, because that crafting tree was really weird.
Yeah, it's janky.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
And so in Fallout 4, like, I will just stockpile mole rat meat and vicious dog meat and mutant hound meat and dog, and then to the point where I've got
I have
like
so much dog meat, it's not even funny.
yeah.
I've got so many hound chops.
But and then you just go into the crafting the cooking stand and you make it all, and you level up like once or 1.5 times. I've actually gotten it to where I had so much I leveled up 3 times in the cooking station. 3 ranks just from cooking
I can't
food.
even carry that much to do that.
Well, I keep it all on my workbench, so it's already like the cooking station
It's right next to your
realizes.
workbench.
Well, no, like it counts your workbench
Oh,
inventory.
Yeah, because it's the crafting station.
Yeah.
So-
So yeah, I put it all on the workbench as well
I
as all
wish
my.
that one worked towards people's what people thought about you, so I can go ahead and get Dance's stuff all the way up and Cosworth's stuff all the way up just by cooking food.
Just by cooking food.
It's like,
Well,
wow,
dude,
that's
just
some
get-
good crafting.
Just
Oh,
get
thanks.
in and out of power armor for Dan's, because he loves it when you get into power armor. Like when I had Dan's as a follower before he tried to kill me, every time I would like repair my power armor, Dan's loved that, and then I'd get into my power armor. Dan's loved that, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I got out and I got back in. Dan's loved that, and I'm like, oh my god.
I think they patched it because you can't do it over and over and over again. You just do it once and it's like, let's suit up, and then you do it again and it's like, eh.
Like, imagine if he didn't like it when you got out of the power armor.
Yeah, it's like, you fucker. And then you get back in and it's like he liked it, and so it's net gain 0.
Net loss, though, is also 0.
Yeah, you gotta look at it that way too.
So, I mean, yeah,
And then you have Strong with you, who hates everything you do.
Strong's bipolar. I have that. You were the one who was reading the game guide and found out that, like, he doesn't like some crimes, and he does like some crimes, and he doesn't like some good deeds, and he likes some good deeds. Like, I don't understand Strong at all.
He hates it when you get in power armor. He hates it when you get out of power armor. He hates it when you He hates it whenever you steal from people, and he likes it whenever you attack non-hostile people.
Exactly. I don't understand that. Like,
I made a noopsie the other day. I spawned into, it was like, help out this settlement or whatever, and I spawned into a thing, and and there were enemies. My compass showed somebody facing in that direction, so I lined up with my compass, saw a person, and shot them, and all of a sudden it said, Dance hated that, and I start getting shot by a laser rifle. Like, what the fuck? Turns out I murdered one of the settlers because the guy I was supposed to shoot was behind him.
that's funny. So, Valve found guilty of breaking Australian law with Steam refund policy.
How so?
Court proceedings regarding Steam's lack of refund policy and find Valve guilty of breaching Australian consumer law.
What is Australian consumer law?
I don't know. Valve Corporation, the company behind the Steam PC distribution platform, has been found guilty of breaching Australian consumer law due to Steam's lack of a refund policy. Which, I guess it must be different in Australia because they do have a refund policy. It's not a great one, but it's there. Steam did not have its current refund policy in place when proceedings commenced in 2014 involving allegations that Valve was in direct breach of Australian law, which states it is a breach of the Australian consumer law for businesses to state that they do not give refunds under any circumstances, including for gifts or during sales.
I assume that's since it happened in like 2014 and stuff, I assume that's a major factor in pushing them to releasing
Probably.
their refund policy.
Their refund policy is still crap, though. Because if you have more than 2 hours on record with the game, you have to, like, file a ticket. Like, you can, and have it reviewed. And there are some games, and I will name 2 just because I know offhand, War Thunder and ESO, their launchers count as the game. So, like, when I launch the War Thunder launcher that downloads the updates and the game, it starts ticking time on my game counter. And War Thunder takes, like, initially probably 2.5 hours to download.
That's crappy.
So I'd have to send us, and I'm sure they would refund me if I, well, of course, War Thunder's a free game, but ESO took me 5 hours. So that's 5 hours, and before I even played the game, it showed I had 5.7 hours on record from the launcher. So if I didn't like ESO, which I'm not a huge fan of, and didn't feel like, I got it really cheap, so I didn't feel like I needed to get a refund, but say somebody spent the $60 and bought the game at full price, and then they decided after playing it for 45 minutes it really wasn't their game. They would have to send in a support ticket to Steam and have their game time and progress and all that stuff reviewed to see if they're eligible to get a refund. Like, I love Steam, but you can't do that.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. I mean,
well, yeah, that does, but
it really makes sense because I mean,
but
if somebody, they've logged 40 hours.
Yeah,
in the
no,
game
that's different.
And they try to refund, and
my problem with it is
nah.
the launcher.
But I mean,
shouldn't count as a time.
If they
I look like I've
if they
spent
review your progress in the game.
Yeah, that's different.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter.
Fine.
It doesn't matter that it's a time-based system then, because I mean, if you've made
But
it absolutely,
you don't have to go through any of that if you have 2 hours or less on the game. Like, you can just get a refund. But if you have more than 2 hours on the game, you have to go through all this crap to get a refund. At least from what Nate told me, and it's stupid because I don't. It looks like I've spent days in ESO just because I've spent that much time in the launcher. Like, I hate games that do that. The launcher is not the game. As soon as I start War Thunder, it starts the launcher, but it says I'm playing War Thunder. I'm not playing War Thunder. I'm downloading an update, or I'm reading the news, or I'm checking out the new update. You know, I'm not playing it yet. Don't say I'm playing it until the EXE's launched and the game's going. That's my opinion on it. I mean, I'm not dissing Steam in any way, shape, or form, but
Steam is shit.
their refund service is a little crap.
Well, it's something.
Ooh, here's something. Assassin's Creed 3 studio developing one of Ubisoft's biggest console PC projects.
What does it mean by console PC projects? Does it mean like cross-platform?
No, it says console/PC.
Okay. Did you hear Rocket League's cross-platform from all 3 platforms?
Mm-hmm.
Which is really neat. I would get it, but I've heard Rocket League is actually really, 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 really fun.
I have too. I got a buddy who plays it all the time. Ubisoft's Singapore studio, which was founded in 2008, has contributed to the development of games in a number of the publisher's biggest franchises, and is now leading development on a big new PC and console project. Speaking at GDC, Olivier de Rotelier, managing director for Ubisoft's Singapore and Southeast Asia, revealed the company's intention to establish a new development studio in the Philippines. As part of the announcement, he shared some details about the current state of the Singapore studio. We've been happy to be involved in many titles. We've built 2 main expertise. I don't know if this is foreign or if this is just poorly written, but this is, and maybe I'll...
I think your brain is just...
No, maybe I'll understand it when I read it, but this is what it says. We've built 2 main expertise in Singapore, one in AAA games and the other in PC Online with Ghost Recon Phantoms. I kind of see what they're trying to say. We've built 10 AAA games in 7 years, he continued, which I don't think that's good. Building 10 games in 7 years? That's...
Define built, as in finished and released?
Contributed to, or, actually built.
Or are they saying they built, finished, and released? Okay, that was loud. Built, finished, and released 7 games in 10 years? Or 10 games in 7 years, sorry? Or are they saying they contributed to 10 games in 7 years? Or are they saying that they have built the basis for 10 games in 7 years and some of them are still in development?
He said...
Because that's an important distinction to me.
Yeah. And now our studio is leading one of the biggest Ubisoft projects on console and PC. It's unclear whether the game in question is part of an existing franchise or if it's going to be new property developed by the Singapore studio. GameSpot has asked Ubisoft for clarification. The Singapore studio is most notable for creating Assassin's Creed 3's naval battles, which went on to become a key pillar in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag and Assassin's Creed Rogue. So, Ubisoft's new studio in the Philippines marks an expansion in the Southeast Asia territory, which, according to Rotelier, is a fast-growing market in the gaming industry and has a young and growing population that is very connected and creative. I wonder if they're making a pirate game now, or like a sailing game.
Multiplayer sailing pirate game.
Because if they are the ones that are credited for creating the naval system in AC3, system in 4, really what the naval system in 4 was built off of.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did the system in 4, but it's probably very similar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you play the games, it's basically the same thing with some minor changes.
Yeah, well, and that in the open world. But I'd be okay with... I'm interested to see what Ubisoft does with new titles. Like, the thing is, though, Ubisoft lately has just been doing a lot of Tom Clancy games.
Yeah.
Like...
Well, Rainbow Six Siege is good.
It's a Tom Clancy game.
Yeah, but it was good.
I'm not saying they're bad, but I want something straight up, dead up original, like, that they brain
Yeah, don't build another Assassin's Creed or another Tom Clancy's game or another Ghost Recon. Is Ghost Recon
Ghost
even
Recon's Tom Clancy.
Whatever.
I like Assassin's Creed, don't get me wrong, but they are taking a break from Assassin's Creed. They're not making one this year. Like, they're not releasing one this year.
I thought that was last year.
No, last year Syndicate came out.
Syndicate. Yeah, duh. Sorry.
So this year we're not going to see an Assassin's Creed, which will be interesting. But I just hope that, because don't get me wrong, it's not like the Tom Clancy games are bad. I know people that play the fuck out of The Division. Like, and Rainbow Six Siege is good, and Ghost Recon I've heard is really good. I haven't really played Ghost Recon, but I want to see a game that they came up with as an original piece of, merchandise. Just like, the Assassin's Creed was an original concept. That was theirs. They made that. It wasn't a Tom Clancy or whatnot. It was Assassin's Creed. They made it. It was their brainchild. Just, if you do make something new, don't squeeze the life out of it like you did with Assassin's Creed. I think that's one strong thing that Rockstar did with Grand Theft Auto, is not releasing a title every year builds up hype for the next title.
Yeah, and plus, since they're so freaking solid every time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, between GTA 4 and GTA 5, you had what? Freaking...
Forever.
Like 6 years?
A long time.
They are so well polished. It's just, I wish that, I wish that a lot of companies did something similar to that, because,
I mean, just communicate with each other and stagger their release dates, so we have games coming out so we're not having to, wait actually 6 years for another game.
Yeah, I mean,
just wait 6 years for another installment of a different game.
Well, and it's like you hear all these rumors too about like Fallout, or not Fallout, but like GTA 6. Everybody's like, oh, GTA 6 is gonna be next. GTA 6 is gonna be next, and I don't think that's gonna be the case. Rockstar's gonna milk the shit out of GTA 5 because it's making them a lot of money, but they're not gonna go out and make a sixth one. It's not practical. Then
they're probably in development of the next GTA already, but
it's not gonna be their next game. I say 2020 before you see another GTA game.
Yep. They might make a bully game.
I've heard Red Dead. Well, you know what pisses me off too is everybody calls it. They're like, oh, it's gonna be Red Dead 2, and it's like, no, it'll be 3. No, it's 2. No, it's 3. There are 2 Red Dead games now. Everybody forgets about the first one just because it wasn't as popular, but there are 2 out now.
Really? Red Dead Redemption wasn't the first one?
Red Dead Revolver. I actually have it somewhere in this room. I have Red Dead Revolver for PlayStation 2.
Oh, cool. Neat. I didn't know that.
Yep, it was a thing. So, hold on, I'm fielding messages on Steam.
Nice.
Okay.
I see them popping up on your computer.
Yeah. But like, I think putting that gap between games, as long as you do it right and you release a super solid game like GTA 5, you get a huge fan base. I think part of GTA 5's success was the fact that they hyped the shit out of that game. And they knew they had good content, because when the game came out and it launched, it was great. Like, it was a super solid, super refined game. And then you've got games like Battlefield 4 that hyped the shit out of it and then
released a pile of shit.
The game in beta was better.
Yeah, the beta was freaking better. I whooped ass in the beta, but then all the problems in the base game came to light whenever the full game released.
I mean, look at a company too like Bethesda. I mean, they can hype the snot out of games. Skyrim was hyped a lot because it had been 7 years since the Skyrim game came out. Fallout 4 was hyped a lot because it had been 8 years since a Bethesda released Fallout game. So I mean, then you've got Bethesda, or not Bethesda, but you've got Ubisoft.
It's been 8 years since a Bethesda released Fallout.
Yeah,
it's been 8 years since a Bethesda developed.
Bethesda developed Fallout. My mistake. But then you have Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed, and you get a new one every year. Or you've got Activision with Call of Duty. You get a new one every year.
Well,
the games
Activision,
are still
Treyarch, and Sledgehammer.
Yeah, The games are still popular and they're still good, but they're not as good and they're not as.
Somebody say, I'm not sure if this is true or not. I might just be making this up off the top of my head, but I heard somebody say that they're not releasing a Call of Duty this year either.
We'll see about that. Activision's too damn greedy.
Well, yeah, it's their best freaking selling game of. I think it's the best selling game of all time. Game series.
They'll probably just sit there and go like, they'll make a last minute decision. They'll be like, we could not make a game this year,
or we could
make one.
Reskin
or
Call of Duty 5 and release it.
Yeah,
add like spaceships or something.
Yeah, add spaceships and turn it into Halo. But I apologize for my stuttering. I keep getting messages in Steam. Because I'm trying to do, essentially what I'm fielding messages for right now is I'm trying to do like a monthly tournament sort of thing, race-wise, and my car meets crew. And I posted the sign-ups like 3 days ago for the April, because this is going to be the first month that we do it. And I have a 64-man crew right now, and I'm looking for a 16-man bracket, which is plausible. I've got that many members that show up, but it's put on our website, and most people don't use the website, which I don't know why, because it's super good. So now I'm being messaged like, well, I don't think we're gonna get 16 people. I'm like, if we don't get 16 people, that's fine. We'll just hype the shit out of it in March or in May, because it can't start in the middle of a month. Because the way it's revolved is we're gonna do like 4 weeks of races. So you got week 1, you've got drag races or something. Week 2, you've got a track race. Week 3, you have a point-to-point. Week 4, you have a time attack. So you're racing against a clock to compete for the most time. You finish, and when you finish the race, you're awarded points based on where you stand in the bracket. And those points go to your monthly total. And at the end of the month, whoever has most points wins the tournament. So it's a neat little thing, and it'll work, but you have to have the right number of people. You can't do it with 17 people or 14 people or 20 people. It has to be 16, 32, or 64. And obviously I can't get every member in the crew to compete, so I'm just starting small with 16. But being the fact that I put up the sign-ups like 2 days ago, and the first race is on Sunday, don't think I'm going to get 16 people.
I think you should have put up the stuff a little while ago.
Well, we didn't decide we were going to do it until like 3 nights ago. Like, we're just like, we need to do something cool, something unique.
Maybe you should have released the sign-up for May.
Yeah.
At the end of this month, you should have released a May sign-up.
If we don't do it for April, I'm just going to switch the registration thing to May and change the dates. So the forum thread will stay the same, but instead of being the Redux Grand Cup April 2016, it'll be changed to May 2016, and the days will be changed. Because it's going to be class-based. So 1 month it's going to be like muscle cars, and then the next month it'll be like supercars or sports cars or whatever we decide on. So that way, because I originally thought it was going to be like different tournaments going on in 1 month, and I'm like, no, that's way too much work and way too much to coordinate. So I just have people register with their name and their car, and then it's class-based. So you can only race this month. It's going to be muscles. And then next month we'll decide when next month comes around. But it's a neat little thing. If you play GTA 5 on PC and you like cars, join the crew, please, for the love of God.
What's the crew?
Car Meets Redux.
Okay.
We stole a New York car club emblem. It says any make, any model. So if you're in that car club, I sincerely apologize. It's a placeholder emblem until we make our own, because it just looks good on everything. But when we make our own, you guys can have your emblem back. But just consider us free advertising, because we use it a lot. It's on a lot of people's cars. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, game release dates and stuff. I'm looking forward to E3 this year, to be completely honest. Bethesda's going to be back.
Dishonored 2.
They already announced that at E3 though. The only thing they'd be doing with Dishonored 2 is
Showing it off.
it's
Showing
like,
it more off.
yeah, here's the release date.
What else would they announce? They're not
I
gonna
don't
announce
know.
another Elder Scrolls.
Fallout 5.
We
No,
have another
Bethesda.
We were just talking about how Activision and Ubisoft screwed themselves with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're just gonna come up to E3 and they're gonna be like, guys, we saw how much hype was generated from Fallout 4 last year. We saw some money to be made. Here's the trailer for Fallout 5. I would be so pissed.
Yeah, I would not be happy at all. It's like, that's just gonna be a reskin Fallout 4.
No, and then at the end it says coming July 2021.
You bastards.
Do like Square Enix with the Kingdom Hearts trailer that they announced at E3 3 years ago. Coming soon. We still haven't gotten a release date.
Haven't heard anything about it.
It's just like they show the clip of Sora and the Keyblade and the beach. Kingdom Hearts 3 coming soon. That was it. It's like, come on, don't like. You're trying to generate hype for a game, and you did a great job. But by the time the release date of the game rolls around, it's gonna release, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, hey, check that out," and they're gonna go buy it and play it. You're not gonna have these huge. Like, do what Bethesda did and wait until, like, a month and a half before the game releases.
It's like, hey, you know that thing you really, really like and that you haven't had a taste of in a really, really long time? It's coming.
In 4 months.
Give us your money and we'll give it to you.
And then they released the coolest fucking collector's edition ever. I like how they presented that, too. They're just like, this is a Pip-Boy. It's your personal interface on Fallout. In the Fallout universe. It's a handheld computer. And we thought it'd be really cool to make one. So we did. This is it. And you guys can buy them. And it's just at that point the internet shut down because of the amount of money that was being spent. Like, that is the perfect moment for the take my money meme.
Shut up and take my money.
Because
take it all.
That
want
was
a Pip-Boy. I mean, you just look at it and you're just like, pull up maps or whatever.
That was the fastest I've ever spent $120. The fastest I have ever thrown that much money away. And I don't even wear it. It sits on display.
It's broken, so.
Well, they can't give me another one. I contacted Bethesda, and Bethesda's like, contact the retailer in which you purchased it from. So I contacted Best Buy. And they're like, either contact Bethesda or you're screwed. Like, we can't get you a replacement. I'm like, well, what can I do? They're like, well, we can give you 50% of your money back, or you can just return it. I'm like, well, I still want it, but I kind of like, and they're like, well, we can give you a 10% rebate, which was $4 or something like that. They're like, we can give you a 10% money back. And I'm like, well, gee, thanks. Spent $120 on a game and you gave me 10% of what the broken merchandise that you sent me was worth. The case was broke. The Pip-Boy was broke. I was kind of upset about that. It's still, you can't tell it's broken from a distance. You have to get up and look at it to see that it's broken, which is fine. It just sits on display next to my Nuka-Cola. I've still got a Nuka-Cola. I've still got one, and I don't know what to do with it.
Sell it, even though it's probably flat by now.
Well, no, I wouldn't drink it. That one's flat. I would use it as decoration. I would not sell it to somebody that I knew was going to drink it.
Well, yeah, just sell it to somebody. You could probably get a decent amount of money for it.
Once I saw how much they went for, I'm like, Nate, we should not have drank those. Like, I drank one and Nate drank one. We took 2 Nuka-Cola Quantums out of circulation.
Well, you just made them that much more
Yeah, we
rare.
just made them that much more valuable. They gained like 2%.
Peaches.
What?
Peaches.
What are you talking
Peaches.
about? Oh,
Your
the
box.
with sandpaper in it. Yeah.
Yeah, it says peaches.
Tomb Raider writer calls for diversity in characters, says games can teach empathy.
I don't give a shit. Just give me a good fucking
Give me a game.
I don't care how many black people or white people or Asian people or whatever kind of people are in the game. As long as the game is good, I don't care.
I'm not gonna.
I don't care if the game is, 50% female and 50% male, or if it's like 33% male, 33% female, and 33% whatever you want. I don't give a shit as long as the game is good.
Why did they have to bring?
I don't like it whenever people shove diversity in my face. Nobody likes that.
No.
If you just do it, it's good. If you shove it down people's throats, it's bad.
Well, it's like, and there's this big ruckus now going on where people are like, the next GTA game should have a female protagonist.
Okay.
But like,
if Rockstar makes a female protagonist, it's because it's appropriate.
And it has to it's got to be something to work too. Like, imagine GTA 5 with a female protagonist. I mean, imagine where one would fit into this scenario.
It wouldn't.
It
Because
wouldn't.
The game doesn't fit it.
You'd have to build a game at that point.
You would have to. Well, yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. If GTA
you'd have to be appropriate.
If they make a female protagonist, it will be appropriate to the game, and it's not because they wanted to make a female protagonist.
It's because
it's not because they did it for the sake of feminism. They're gonna do it to do it. Just because they want.
Well, I mean, look at Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I mean, they did it well. I mean, they've got the female protagonist that can be played in, I think, certain missions. I don't know how it works in the free mode aspect, where you're just running around, but. And they didn't do it because demand for a female protagonist. They just did it because they could make it work. They saw a story there where you could have twins, brother and sister, who are in the Assassin's Guild and stuff like that.
It's like freaking, what is it? Star Wars, the movie, The Force Awakens with Rey as the protagonist.
Yeah.
Everybody was freaking out like, oh my god, they have a female protagonist and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't care. The story's good. And plus, the way they portrayed Rey in the movie, in a lot of movies you see, like, girls in the movies just acting so fucking tough. Like, I'm a girl and I can do everything that guys can do because, and they, flaunting that and all that stuff. In Star Wars, Rey doesn't do that because she is a badass.
Yeah. She doesn't have to say it to convince herself.
Yeah, she doesn't have to tell anyone that. You just know because she is a badass. That is the kind of female protagonist I want in more games and movies.
I just wish that people wouldn't try to tie these social things into games. Like, games are my escape from the hellish society that we live in. Please stop trying to follow me.
Games get me away from all this political correctness and, the crazy politics and stuff like that.
Like, I hate that
so much. Stop putting it back into my games.
It's like and we were talking, too, about, because I'm in a car meets crew in GTA, and they're like, well, we should see some real names of car brands come in. And I'm like, why? There's no point. They're not going to because GTA ties...
They would have to spend money to do that.
Well, that's not the problem. I think the problem is, even if they went after the licensing, the companies would turn it down. Because then you're tying your car brand name to a crime game.
Yep. Oh, I saw... Dodge might do that because I saw a commercial that made me laugh really, really hard. Where, there's a bunch of criminals, driving away in this car. You can't really see what the car is, and they're being chased by Batman. And it said, you can't have heroes without villains, and you can't have villains without a sweet car. And it shows the villains driving in a Hellcat, and it's like, oh, so you're saying if I break the law, you'll send me a Hellcat? I'll do that.
But games are not always supposed to be politically correct. I don't play Politically Correct Simulator 2016. I play video games.
Yeah, I mean, just look at GTA. That's
GTA
is the exact opposite of what you can get for politically correct.
What other place can I go and hold up stores to make money and have a good time?
Like look, I didn't shoot the cashier because he was like
Indian.
I don't know,
I shot
Indian?
him because I wanted money.
I shot him because he might shoot me when I leave, and that would just piss me off.
It's like we were dicking around the other night in GTA. I mean, when we get together, when my crew gets together after the meets and all that are settled down, and you get down to like the 5 or 6 regulars, and everybody's slap happy at this point because it's like 3 a.m. and we one of our other admins has, his name's Brian, and he has he bought one of those Journeys, the motorhome, the $15,000 motorhome that you can get on Warstock Cash and Carry, because we had a Rusty meet and he wanted to bring that to the Rusty meet. He drove his house to the Rusty meet, and so we're driving it around town, and one of the other guys is like, "Oh, dude, I need a drink. We need to stop and get something to drink." He's like, "Fine, but don't shoot the guy in the store." And so we get in and we pull out, and he gets out, and you just hear. No sooner does he walk into the store, do you hear the alarm in the building go off, and you hear sirens, and then you hear bullets, and then it's like, he didn't give me my drink for free.
God damn it! You had one job.
You had one job.
You had one job.
But like, yeah, GTA is a really good escape, because that's a game where you can literally do anything you want, and just.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm gonna go sleep with a bunch of prostitutes and murder them all to get my money back. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna play some golf instead.
Yeah, I'm gonna play golf. Golf got a little tiresome. Time to play some tennis. Actually, you have to have 2 people to play tennis, so that's a little disappointing. I kicked Nate's ass in tennis. Nate started in the lead, and then I started winning, and he's just like, "Dude, you suck. You suck." I'm like, "Well, get good, scrub," and he ended up losing. He was super mad about that.
Speaking of get good, scrub, Dark Souls 3 comes out soon.
Speaking of Dark Souls 3 coming out soon, guess who's still not getting it?
Your mother?
Me.
I mean, I would assume Actually, I think your mother would actually buy it.
Possibly. She's been playing the shit out of Dragon Age, though. Like, she got Dragon Age, the Game of the Year edition of Inquisitions, for Christmas, and she's been playing that nonstop. That's the only game I've seen her play. I don't think I've seen her play Destiny, which was like her game of choice up until then, since Christmas.
Destiny, gaming's best 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's sad how much money that game made for what it was.
Yeah, one of my coworkers was thinking about getting. I'm like, don't
do it.
Don't. He's like, why? And I'm like, because the first 10 hours will be a blast.
Buy the Taken King. Don't buy Destiny. If you're going to buy Destiny, buy the Taken King.
Yeah. Well, and he's sitting there and he's like, why? And I'm like, because the first 10 hours will be a blast, and then once you finish the game, you'll realize it is pretty much no point in playing it anymore.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be a multiplayer experience.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say MMO, because, I mean, even Bungie said it's not really an MMO, but it's still a multiplayer experience.
Yeah, and PvP's fun, but once you finish the story, that's all that there is that's left. Once you finish, I mean, if you get the DLCs.
You can replay, you can replay every 5 strikes that you get.
Yeah.
And it's just 5 strikes, so you replay those 5 strikes over and over and over again. Or you can, do the raids, which are really fucking hard.
I don't want a game that gives me such limited content. I mean, and that's why now I can actually kind of put a little bit more 2 cents into naval action. After playing it for as long as I have, I still don't feel I've been cheated out of my money. I paid $40 for it, which is really steep for an early access game. So most early access games, if they're not close to free, they're like $10 at most. I think Space Engineers, when it was early access, was $15. And it offers so much to do. That's what I want out of a game. I want a game that I'm buying and I feel like I've got more than my money's worth. Granted, I will tell you right now, sailing is really monotonous because you have to hope and pray that the wind is in your favor. If it's not, your speed is reduced to a lot. You could go from easy 17 knots to 10 just because of the direction of the wind. Damn it.
I watched somebody, they sailed from the pirate capital to Kingston, and they said it took them like half an hour.
Yeah. It takes a long time to set. I mean, just from Swansboro, which is the northernmost port of the game, to Georgetown, took 30 minutes. And that's just up the East Coast, halfway up the East Coast. It's very monotonous. That would get really old if that was all you were doing. Fortunately, you've got battles and you can intercept contraband ships, and you've also got the prospect of, if you're running trade runs, an $80,000 profit at the next port. But it's got so much content jam packed into it. Whereas Destiny, you bought the game, you had a story mode, multiplayer,
story mode
and
that's like
5
a
co-op
bit of
missions.
4 hours.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to spend that much money on a game that is seriously lacking in that. And that all boils back down to, that game shouldn't have been priced at $60.
No, it was not.
It should have been
$60.
It should have been $40 or $30,
and
because it's
the Taken King should not be worth $40.
no.
Because they are basically reselling you the game at a discounted price.
Yep.
For what the game would be worth since it's been out for so long.
I think
For them fixing their fucking broke ass game, they should have released the Taken King at 20 or less.
I think those multiplayer only games should not be that much. And I mean, when there's no
Yeah. I mean, as much as I absolutely adore Rainbow Six Siege, $60 is pretty darn steep for it. $40 would have been a fair price.
and I'm hoping that Battlefield doesn't go that route either, because I know that's
purely
just a purely multiplayer.
Well, I mean, if their campaigns are as lame as they have been.
Battlefield 3 was a really good campaign.
Yeah, Battlefield 4 was
It was okay.
eh.
I did not play Hardline's campaigns because I don't
I've
have
heard
the game.
Hardline's campaign just was bad.
And I know that that's becoming a thing where most of these FPS, I think even Call of Duty's trying to get away from
Yeah, if you
offline play.
I mean, Call of Duty Ghosts, that's the only one I can speak of. That's the only new one I've had. Quote unquote new one. It's like 4 years old now.
That was like 6 games ago, dude.
Yeah, I know. I'm so behind. But that one's campaign is like, at least Call of Duty is like the past. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm gonna start over. So, the Call of Duty games in the past, before Ghosts, have always been like an A movie in their campaigns.
Yeah.
Always have good campaigns. Call of Duty Ghost campaign was like a bad B movie action film with a high budget. It was really, really bad.
I can't.
It had horrible acting, horrible direction and directing.
There's just so many of these games now that are trying to break away from offline play, and I think that you're alienating a pretty large fan base doing that. Like, because I mean, I have internet, and I mean, I use internet. We have decent internet, but you're alienating the people that either A, don't have internet, or B, have shitty enough internet that they can't enjoy online play, so they can't play it. And so, for a game like Star Wars Battlefront, that just came out, granted, again, not a great game, but for the people that played it back when it was on PS2 and all that stuff, they were probably super psyched, and when they realized that there's no offline single-player sort of story thing, they can't
Didn't
play
get it. They
Yeah.
probably didn't get it.
So, I don't know. To some degree, I think that's sort of... Honestly, I don't know why you wouldn't do that. You'd probably spend a bit more money on the man-hours and stuff to build and structure a story, but you'd still make more money because you're going to have people that buy it for the story. I don't buy games for multiplayer. I mean, to some degree I do. I bought The Crew for the multiplayer because I can play it with my friends. I got GTA for multiplayer because I play it with my friends. I just recently started touching the story and I'm almost done with it. Like, I've never played the campaign in GTA 5 just because I didn't get it for the story. But games like Assassin's Creed, it pisses me off so much when people bitch and moan about the multiplayer. It's not a multiplayer game. It's a story-driven experience. That's why their storylines are like 10 hours long, because they sink all of their labor hours into story. I would like to see a game like Battlefield 3 where they split it, and it's got a really good story and it's got a really good solid online.
I wouldn't be too upset if the story was really short but really good. I wouldn't be too upset if they had like an extremely short story, but a very solid, very good story.
What's your definition of extremely short, though?
Oh, it's around 4 hours. But
okay,
I mean,
that's okay.
Good story,
Good
not like
4 hours.
Destiny story that just left me asking questions that were impossible to answer at the state it left you.
And that's why I think Battlefield 3 did the balance really well, because they had a really good, decent length story. It wasn't monotonous, but it wasn't lacking, and their multiplayer was really good. And then Battlefield 4 came out and threw one of those out the window, and the other one was lacking.
I mean, if Battlefield 4 launched in a little bit worse state than it is in now, it would have been a very good release.
Yeah, and to me though, the story wasn't as good. I mean, I'm not even gonna spoiler alert this, because if you haven't played the Battlefield campaign by now, the Battlefield 4 campaign, you're never gonna. But the last mission where you have to choose who goes down and sacrifices the C4, that was tough. That was probably the hardest decision I had to make in that game. Like, that was probably the most emotionally gripping moment in that game, and I think that there should be more of that before the fucking finale.
Yeah,
It's like in Battlefield 3 when
the ship blew up for me though, because I was waiting for the option to go down myself.
Yeah.
I don't know why there's not an option to do that.
Well, you know.
I'll kill this person or that person. I'll be fine though. I just have to live with my choices, but I can go back to my family. So I'm happy.
I'll just reload a save.
Yeah, it's all good.
But like, no, I think to me, that's why Battlefield 3 was so good, because there were a lot of emotionally gripping moments up all the way through the campaign. So it was a really solid and intriguing story, but they didn't do it well. And I wish that Battlefield 4's campaign was that good. I mean, it was still a decent campaign. I like Battlefield 4's campaign. It was a little long for what it was lacking. But then they focused on the multiplayer, which they screwed up. And then I don't want to see good games get turned to multiplayer-only games. I'll still be able to play them, but I know that A, they're still going to charge $60 because it's fucking EA. And B, I'm only going to be getting half of what it's worth. Or what I pay, because $60 I expect to get story and multiplayer, solid story and multiplayer. Like, unless it's a game that's strictly story driven, like Assassin's Creed, where it's got these 10 and 12 hour storylines that are really long, drawn out, thought out, well placed and put together, however very predictable.
Yeah, for the most part, well put together and well designed.
Again, the end of Unity was the most predictable thing. I saw that coming a mile away. But I'm not the game developer. I'm just the consumer.
So are we going to throw out a game of the week before we have to end?
You can if you want, because I don't have one.
Well, I asked you because I hadn't thought of one.
That's fine.
I can think of one real quick.
We have a minute and 30 seconds.
I've been so out of loop in playing games recently. I've been focusing so much on music and stuff like that.
We can skip out on it for this week. It may not be something that we continue to do unless, like,
maybe game of the week occasionally.
Game of the occasional week.
When we announce a new one, nobody will ever know.
Yeah, it's
If you guys have a game of the week, let us know. That's about all I can say. Yes, that says 53 seconds left.
No, I was trying to see if you were actually talking to anybody. You're talking to no one.
No.
Oh, wait a minute. We have a listener. Who the fuck's listening?
Your mother.
I'm actually kind of genuinely curious. I'll be right back.
It's probably... Didn't you tell the one guy you were playing Naval Action to watch? Maybe it's Nate.
Oh, well, if it's Nate, then we don't have any listeners.
Maybe it's Jared. Maybe it lists you as a listener.
No, I don't
since you
think
have
it's
it
done that
open.
before. This next 20 seconds is just going to be us trying to track down who the fuck is listening.
I don't know who you are, but I will find
don't know
you,
who you are.
and I will hug you for being our listener.
So that's the LAN party for the 29th of March. We appreciate you tuning in, whoever the mysterious listener is, and we will see you next week.
Peace out.